Hi everyone. For Math 1071 this semester, the only allowed calculator is Desmos. This is a free online calculator and you'll be allowed to use it on your exams. It'll be built in so that you can open it when you're in Lockdown browser. So in this video I want to kind of go over how to use that. So let's go ahead and pull in a browser here so that I can open up Desmos. To get to it you just need to go to desmos.com and then we're going to go to the graphing calculator. Okay, so let me kind of show you around a little bit. In the sidebar over here on the left, you can use it just like a calculator. So if I need to multiply 24 times 4, I can just put that in and it'll give me the answer there. I can also do something, right, if like e to the 12th, so that's my exponential function e. To get that exponent, I just hit the caret button, so shift 6, and that brought me up into the exponent. And then once I'm up in the exponent, we have to make sure we come back down below that before we do. So you have to be a little bit careful here. But you can use this just like you would a regular calculator to calculate everything you need to. So I can do ln of, say, 12. That'll give me the natural log of 12, and you'll see these exponential and log functions throughout the course. If you need to, you can use the symbols on the bottom here to help you be able to get whatever function you need. So maybe we need to do the square root function. So you could do the square root of, say, 36, and that'll give you 6. But you can also sort of type keyboard shortcuts. So if I just start typing square root, right, I'm going to abbreviate it SQRT, standard abbreviation for square root, and it'll actually put the symbol in for me. So you can start using things like that as well. Okay, so that's the basic calculator function, but the big thing that we want to use is the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and just exit out all of these so we don't have too much stuff. So let's say I want to graph the linear function x plus 3. I can just type x plus 3 in here, and it'll go ahead and graph that for me. You could also say y equals x plus 3. That just gives you that same graph. And so we can use that to help us graph these basic functions. We can also use function notation. So I can say f of x equals x squared plus 2x plus 3, and that'll give me that parabola. If I want to get rid of this line but not delete it, I can click on the red thing next to it, and that'll just hide that function. So I can turn it off and turn it back on. If I have something in function notation, basically I've told this Desmos that my f of x function is defined to be x squared plus 2x plus 3. So if I want to enter a number into that, I can just say, what is f plus 2? That's going to plug 2 into my function and give me the output. So this will allow you to evaluate functions pretty easily, so we can find what those points are. Then maybe I want to plot those points on the graph. So I can say 2, 11. And it'll go ahead and put that point on the graph for me. Maybe I want to label it with the coordinates. Or because, again, I've labeled this function f, I could just put 2, f of 2. And that will give me that point on the graph. We can also add sliders. So that's going to be a variable that we can change. So now I've got this letter a, which is defined to be 1. And then I'm plotting 1, f of 1. And then if I change the value of that a, it's going to give me different points along this. So I encourage you to play around with all of these things and see if you can get them to work on your own. A few more fun things we can do. Later we'll see the derivative of a function, and we'll see that it's indicated with a prime. So I can just ask it to what f prime of x is, and it'll just plot f prime of x. So it's not actually giving me the function, but it's giving me a graph of that function. So then if you actually check yourself, right, maybe I take the derivative myself, and again, we don't know what this is necessarily yet, but you'll see it later in the course. I can try to figure out the derivative, and then I can check, oh, did I get it right? Did I get the exact right graph? So it's kind of a fun way to check your work later in the course. The other feature I want to tell you about is the table feature. So let me go ahead and remove some of these so that we have some space to work with so we can kind of see everything. So I'm going to again just start with my function f of x. I can zoom in and out by just moving the graph around with your mouse, or if you're on a tablet with your fingers. If you want to change the domain and range, you can do that by using the little wrench in the upper corner here. and you can change what your X and Y axis are going to be. Okay, but right, the table is what we're going to look at. So if I go to the gear, that's going to give me my settings. I'm going to hit the table for this function, and it just gives me a table here. You can put in different values for X, and then you'll output your values for f of X, or it outputs those for you. And it's going to put points on the graph. So if I wanted to have a table that told me values for 1, 2, 3, oops, that was at 30, 4, and 5, I could just put those into my table, and then it's going to output that table of values. So I can see how those are changing over time. So I encourage you throughout the course to actually go ahead and work with Desmos as your calculator instead of using other calculators. That way you'll be ready to go when you get to the exam, because this is the only allowed calculator for those exams. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask your instructor. And if there's other topics that come up later in the course where it would be helpful to see a demo on Desmos, don't be afraid to ask, and we'll post some more videos. So enjoy!